you used to. We got to go backwards to get better. We got to go all the way back to get better. That means I have to be comfortable in some seasons of my life. I have to be comfortable in my life to accept that sometimes loss is the way to gain. I have to be comfortable enough in my life to know that sometimes the most painful moments are the most purposeful moments. I have to be comfortable in my life to stop comparing myself so much with people who are not meant to be the standard anyway.
That drive and that attitude of never quit, it's a powerful force, and it does push you over the edge to victory in many cases. But over that attitude, you have to layer something on top of that. It's basically strategic vision and understanding of the battlefield as a whole. So you absolutely need to know when you got to stop beating your head against the wall. You've got to know that.
You're doing the best you can, but you put 1 foot forward and 2 steps are made backward. You're trying, but things don't seem to be quite working out the way you planned. You thought you'd be in a different place at this season in your life. You're doing everything right, but you're still suffering.
This is a good word for anybody who you've been dealing with depression, but you've been drinking to get through it. Now, depression is something that happens to a lot of us. I mean, I don't know anybody who hasn't had a season of darkness in their life. But if I try to drive out darkness with darkness, and I depend on something in the darkness that is going to make me addicted to something even when the light comes up, the second storm is worse than the first. Now, a lot of us are dealing with loneliness right now in this season. That's a storm that you can't always control. But if you run to places in the storm that are more dangerous than the storm itself, how many times have you left a place that you didn't like? And the problem is, you can't change if you never stay. Staying power. Staying power. One text message can change the next 3 years of your life in 80 characters. Out of nowhere. That's the first storm, the one you can't control. And you can't do anything about the current, crossing the current and the stormy conditions. I mean, some storms are just seasonal. Some storms can't be avoided. Don't create a second storm by your decisions. See, you can ask God to protect you in the first storm. God, I don't know what to do. You do. God, I can't do anything about this. You can. But what a lot of us have been doing in this season of uncertainty, we have been creating second storms that are worse than the first.
So many of y'all are in mental and spiritual, psychological warfare. So many of y'all are in spiritual chains. You are spiritually behind bars. You are stuck. You are institutionalized. Most of us have 2 eyes, and we still can't see, can't clearly see all of the scams, the people's motives. God sends us bold signs and wonders, tells us to change our environment and our surroundings so that we can reach the ultimate level of being blessed. I really think that if you get rid of the trash in your life, that can be people, business, and situations, you too could really, I really believe that you can reach your full potential. I want you to fly. I want you in your career and your financial blessings to bypass me.
Sometimes in order to get to better, you have to go backwards. Sometimes in order to get to better, you have to go through bad. And I'm preaching this for somebody today who has been feeling like things have been going backwards for you. The thing about it is, when God shows you a new grip called grace, for a little while in your life is harder for you because you're used to controlling things. Have you ever noticed if you get something new, even if it's better at first, it gets on your nerves because you don't know how to use it? And the temptation for us is, watch this, God will do a new thing in our life and He'll be teaching us to forgive, and He'll be teaching us to to get over offenses. And he'll be teaching us to trust him. And he'll be teaching us not to live by our feelings. But then we look at what he fixed on our grip and we see our shot going so far over the fence. And I wonder if I would actually be better off doing it the old way than the new way. So I go back instead of moving forward into better. When what you were guiding by goes away and every day just looks the same and feels the same, now I get the feeling like this is endless. Now I get the feeling like maybe these chains are never going to break. This storm is never going to cease. What you go through doesn't determine where you end up. What you go through doesn't determine where you end up. Who you listen to determines where you end up. Because I think right now you are walking through a valley between two voices. One is wisdom, one is worry. One is gratitude, one is grumbling. One is blame, one is faith. Wait a minute. The opposite of faith is doubt. No. Doubt doesn't keep you from having faith. Doubt gives you something to have faith for. But blame will block faith every time. Blame will always block faith.
A subject that altered my life forever. It was just unbelievable. I hadn't known my mentor, Mr. Schoff, very long until one day he said, Mr. Rohn, let me see your current list of goals. He said, I've had a lot of experience and I've been out here for a while. And he said, let's go over them and maybe I can really give you some good ideas. And I said, I don't have a list. He said, well, he said, if you don't have a list of your goals, he said, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did. That got my attention. I said, you mean my bank balance would be a lot bigger if I learned how to set goals? He said, drastically bigger. That got my attention, so I finally said, hey, I want to learn how to set goals. It is a fantastic skill to develop, how to design your own future. So make the note, life best lived is life by design, not by accident. Not just, walking through the day, careening from wall to wall and managing to survive. That's okay. But if you can start giving your life dimensions and design and color and objectives and purpose, the results can be absolutely staggering. Key phrase, here's a chance now to use your imagination. Because the imagination builds cities, imagination conquers disease, imagination develops a career, imagination sets up a relationship. Imagination is where all tangible values and intangible values begin in the imagination. So what you've got to learn to do is use this powerful resource. Now, sometimes all by ourselves, it's a little difficult sort of to get it going. That's why a little workshop like we're going to do today is sometimes very helpful. When someone does a little coaching and says, how about this niche? You say, I never thought about that. That ought to be easy to do. And the first thing you know, you're going. And that's why that is so important. But now, tapping this resource of the imagination and thinking about your future, thinking about tomorrow, as early as tomorrow or the rest of the day, and thinking on out the rest of the year, on into the next century, on into the early years of the next century. A workshop like we're about to do helps call your attention to that so you can use your imagination to start prospecting for the future, what could be possible for you. We're affected by our dreams, our vision of the future.
If you take a seed and throw it on the concrete and walk off, the sun just burned it up. Got to have dirt put on top of it. In my mind, it doesn't make sense that to grow something, you should dig a hole, put it down in there, and cover it with dirt. Logically, that don't make no sense to me. But though, see, dirt is necessary for growth and development. Dirt builds character. Dirt gives you the push-through factor. Dirt makes you come with it when you don't feel like coming with it no more. All of y'all that had dirt thrown on you. And dirt ain't always what you want. It's somebody talking about you down on your job. It's somebody accusing you of something that you didn't do. It's somebody telling you you ain't gonna make it. That everybody get dirt put on them. But see, when you're getting put under that stress, please know God is always working, so I smile. Because I know he back there. See, that dirt builds character in you. When they talking about you, it teaches you to withstand it. Then it gives you something to push through. So when you put the seed and you put the dirt on it, if you understand stress, stress really ain't just dirt. See, they don't call it dirt when they plant it. They call it soil. Because, see, soil has nutrients in it. What the nutrients, when people talking about you, dogging you, lying on you, backbiting, stealing from you, they're actually putting nutrients in you. They're building character. You got character now. And now, the dirt is necessary so you can prove yourself. Everything you see above ground that blossoms and plants and grows and that's beautiful, it was underground one time.
You want to make sure that the greatest pull on your life is the pull of the future. Some people live in the past and let their life be continually pulled and influenced by the past. And yes, we must remember the past and review the past to make it useful to invest in the future. But here's the key. Make sure that the greatest pull on your life is the pull of the future. Now, if you're skimpy on your dreams, if you're skimpy on your objectives and your purposes, if that isn't very well planned, then it doesn't pull very hard. Then you have more of a tendency to be pulled by the past, or to be pulled apart by events or circumstances, or to be pulled apart by distractions. So in order to save yourself from being pulled apart by distractions or pulled back to the past, you want to now start really designing the future so that the greatest part of your attention and focus and pull, like a magnet, pulls you forward into the future to accomplish your goals. But if you're weak in learning to set goals, if you haven't really worked on this that we're going to work on, then that is a solution you need to consider. Goals are like a magnet. They pull. The stronger they are and the more purposeful they are, the bigger they are, the more unique they are, the stronger they pull. If you have excellent goals and high dreams, here's what they also do. They pull you through all kinds of down days, down seasons. They pull you through a winter of discontent. They pull you through distraction on every side that says, look here, look here, look here. Strong, powerful dreams like a magnet pull you through that. Strong dreams and goals pull you through a disaster. Some people get swallowed by the disaster because they have nothing on the other side of the disaster to pull them through. A bad day can almost overwhelm you if you don't have something really purposeful to go for at the other side of that day. At the other side of the difficult time, at the other side of the down time. If you've got plenty out there to attract and pull, it'll pull you through all these things. And very little of it will attach itself to you. You'll be able to get through some of the most difficult times if you have this spectacular vision ahead of you of where you're going and what you're going to accomplish. Getting through will be easy or easier. So, learning to set goals, it is an incredible experience. Once I learned it, it transformed my life forever. Being here today is an accomplishment of my goals. When I travel around the world and sit on an airplane, I say, I dreamed about this one day. I used to go to the airport and watch the planes fly away, and I said, one of these days, I'll be on one of those planes. I dreamed about it. I dreamed about the other side of the world. I'd never been to Italy, but I dreamed about it. I'd never been to South Africa, but I dreamed about it. Sure enough, step by step and country by country and flight by flight, I started checking them off my list. It was the most exhilarating feeling. Powerful to set those goals, reach out there into the future, design something to the best of your ability, refine it as you go, tear it up periodically if you want to, set a whole new list. It's your life, it's your future. But now I would like to do it in a very simple, easy manner that you can follow, so that you can use it for the future to pass on to your children, or if you got a little group that you train and teach, or your management and salespeople, you can use this with others. So what I'm going to go through with you here is sort of a model. Sort of, if I rush you just a little bit on getting through this model, at least I will leave you with the model that you can use later. And not only use later, but use later to pass on to someone else in some manner. So, having laid this background now, here's what I want you to do. Get a fresh piece of paper. And this is called now the workshop. And on this workshop now, I want you to write down the question and then do the exercise. First question. List what 5 things have you accomplished that you're already proud of? What 5 things have you already accomplished that you're proud of? Now, primarily what this is for is to, give you credit for what you've already accomplished. Shoaff said to me, Mr. Rohn, you've already been setting goals. You've already gone for something and you've achieved it. But you've probably done it haphazardly. You haven't done it with a real plan in mind. And you've accomplished some things. Now, if you start deliberately doing it, can you imagine how you can multiply the effect by 5, by 10, by 20, by 100? I finally got the message. So first of all, he wanted to make sure I got credit for the things that I had already accomplished, especially in my own mind. Whether it's an accomplishment to someone else doesn't matter now, just so you recognize it for yourself. Now that you've done that little workshop, here's the second question. This is going to take some time now. What do you want in the next 10 years? What do you want in the next 10 years? Now, under this, what do you want in the next 10 years? That is the question. I want you to make a list of at least 50 items. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to just write as fast as you can. Don't give any much detailed thought to it, of what you want in the next 10 years. And just let your mind run free. Now, also remember this. This is not what you think you can get. This is what you want. If it all fell into place and you could have everything you wanted in the next 10 years, what would you take? If somebody promised you can have anything you want in the next 10 years, what do you want? I want you to approach it that way, because it's not important to think, what do I think I can get? I want you to now think about what you want in the next 10 years. And put them one under the other, not side by side, but one under the other, because we're going to do something with this list when you finish. You don't have to just be shortchanged on this list. I mean, this list can go on and on and on. If you're working this workshop and you've got plenty of time, you just, give it plenty of time till everybody's pretty thoroughly, ready now with this list. But now here's what I want you to do with this list. I want you to go through the list now, one item at a time, write down the list, and I want you to give each item a 1, a 3, a 5, or a 10 by saying, that's about a 1-year goal, that's about a 3, that's about a 5, that's about a 10. I want you to look at each item, write down the list, and give it a 1, 3, 5, or 10. Now, here's what I want you to do with this list. I want you to look at each item that you've numbered number 1, and I want you to pick out the 4 most important and identify them some way. Either make a new list of the 4 most important 1-year goals, or circle them, or put a star or something beside it. What are your 4 most important 1-year goals? Now that you picked the 4 most important 1-year goals, here's the next question. Why? Why are those 4 goals important to you? What are they going to do for you? What will they accomplish? Why did you pick those? Why? Why are those goals important? Just 3 or 4 sentences. If we don't have time to complete it, you can complete it later. If you have plenty of time doing this workshop, you just take the time. Why are those 4 goals important to you? Okay, put a little star there now. Those little stars mean finish later. Okay, because you can continue on with this, long after this workshop is finished, and then use it as a model to teach. Remember, study, practice, teach. Now, make these notes. Next, when the why gets stronger, the how gets easier. When the why gets stronger, the how gets easier. When people don't have strong, powerful goals, the how is almost impossible. The how is too difficult. How to do it seems like, how can I ever accomplish this? The how starts getting easier and easier when the why gets bigger and bigger and stronger. Now make this note. Purpose is stronger than object. Purpose is stronger than object. Object can be powerful, object can be strong, but purpose is stronger than object. One of your objectives might have been $1 million home to live in. Here's the big question. What for? And it's the what for that pulls stronger than the $1 million home. A home is a home is a home. What for? What are you going to do with this place? Well, now we start with the details. And I want you to add this note. It works in communication, it works here too. The drama is in the details. The drama is in the detail. Someone says, I've lost 40 pounds in the last 3 months. We say, is that it? Those are the numbers, but what's the detail? How did you feel before? Well, let me tell you what. Now they start the drama by giving us the details. How do you feel now? Wow, what a difference, 40 pounds later. And this person starts to describe what it's like now versus what it was like before. The drama is in the details. This is what you've got to do. $1 million home? What for? So everybody can see it from the street? That's okay, but there's got to be some more reasons. What do you want to do with this home? Then you start saying, hey, it's going to be the center of activity. You can't believe what's going to go on in this home. And you just keep describing it. And that drama now starts to really tap your imagination. And imagination is the beginning of reality. You can't imagine how close imagination is to reality until you start practicing this craft of turning nothing into something, imagination into tangible, the real stuff. How close is the real stuff? You can't imagine how close. If you start tapping into this resource of your imagination so that your purpose becomes much stronger than the object. The object is powerful and it'll pull, but the purpose is unbelievable. We must all pay the price, but the price gets easy if the prize gets large. The price gets easy if the prize gets sufficient. It's like disciplines. What a small price to pay for good health. What an easy thing to do, an apple a day. I mean, a few things gives you such an incredible return that the price almost disappears. Promise is stronger than object. You got that? The bigger and the more powerful the why, the how gets easier and easier and easier.
Figure out what happened in the old relationship, because you said, I gave my very best and it went wrong, and so I have lost confidence in my best. Because you left me with the notion that maybe my best isn't good enough. So I'm not sure that anybody will ever see my best again. Because I did it from my heart. I did it from my heart. And now I know what young people do not know. They said right can go wrong.
When you're an eagle, you're meant to rise up. We don't rise up when everything's going well. We rise up regardless. You're trained to rise up on your worst day. That's who you are. In the worst of circumstances. No place for whining, complaining, being anxious, being negative. It's totally unnecessary.
But when you borrow confidence from the wrong places, the interest rate is ridiculous. I'm talking about when you get in a relationship where you have to compromise your values to get your needs met. Y'all, that's worse than the check cash in place. It's an interest rate. And let me tell you another thing. While I got you fired up about all the people that you kept going to because you wanted them to validate you, but they can't because they're not God. They didn't make you. They don't know you like that. And they have their own insecurities. So leave them alone and get it from God. You keep trying to borrow confidence from people who have insufficient funds. They can't do it. They can't.
As a man, if my father was married to my mother for 30 years, I'll find myself looking for someone that reminds me of my mother, because that would be my point of reference. I will find myself trying to do all the things that I witnessed my father do as a husband. That's my point of reference. If my father is successful, he's an entrepreneur, he's constantly grinding, starting up new companies, negotiating, and I see him inspired and motivated all the time about life and career and trying to educate himself and further his way up the success ladder. That will become my blueprint and my point of reference for success. And I'll find myself wanting nothing more than to be a duplicate of my father, because that is my successful point of reference. Have you become a duplicate of your mother? Have you become a duplicate of your father? Have you became a duplicate of your parents, of your environment? See, I believe that we were all born individuals. God made me an individual. My head is not connected to anybody else. I am my own man. God made me individually me, so I can do and be and become anything I want to become. What is your point of reference?
The invisible. Is often more real than the visible. That sometimes the stuff that we collect, that we say is real, is less real than the stuff that we neglect because we can't see it. I'm talking about your state of mind. I'm talking about your relationships with others. I'm talking about the way that you process disappointment, those things, the way that you treat people who can't do anything for you, those things. You have this visible kingdom world, but there is an invisible kingdom within you that is more important than the kingdom around you.
Set your life on fire and seek those who fan your flames. Don't be hanging with no jank-ass jokers that don't help you shine. The prerequisite for spending time with any person is that they nourish and inspire you. They feed your flame. There's been very few times in my life that I looked left or looked right and didn't find a person who believed and supported me. There's always been a person beside me fanning my flames. Look at your last 5 text messages. Are those people feeding your flames or dousing your fire? The people that you spend time with are going to make or break your dreams. Everybody don't deserve to be around you. Look to the people around you. Are those people throwing logs on your fire or are they pissing on it? You got to defend your light with your life.
If you can't detach from yourself, then you can't see yourself. And so how do you detach from yourself? How do you learn to do that? And a good drill for this is try to imagine the way other people see you and what other people are thinking of you. One place where this happens, and it definitely happened to me, is when I started getting put in charge of things, I started thinking about other people's perspectives. If you're in charge, then what kind of representation are they receiving? And if you work for someone else, it's the same questions. What does the boss see me do? What kind of representation am I making of myself to my boss? So the question becomes, how well do you represent yourself? What shortfalls do you have? Now, when you first start looking, it's like you're looking at an overgrown lawn. There are some big, obvious problems. So you do a broad, just kind of general cut of the grass. You fix some of the big, easy problems. But once you've done that, once you've gotten rid of some of those big, obvious problems, you notice some more detailed problems. So you start trying to fix them.
Opposites in conflict. That seems to be the setup for a human adventure. One contesting against the other, vying for the territory. Would there be light without darkness? We probably wouldn't call it light. What gives us the value of one is the contrast of the other. But darkness is always trying to move in and take all the territory. But if you turn on the light, its energy starts to repel darkness. Darkness begins to move away. And the brighter the light, the further away the darkness must move. If you walk into a dark room and turn on the light, the darkness is what? Gone. But here's the point to remember, not very far. The darkness seems to be, yes, it's gone, but it's waiting for its chance. That if light loses its energy, darkness has a chance now to move back in. The better realistic illustrations, and that's health and illness at odds in your body. Illness trying its best to drive health into a small corner and occupy the territory. And health trying what? To push illness into a small corner. There's this contest going on. Who's going to occupy the territory? If one stays strong, the other's diminished. If the other gains in power, then the other is diminished. So what you must learn to do is cooperate with the positive side of everything in your body and your life. Sometimes we sabotage our own best interest. The body needs a banana, you send it a Coca-Cola. And the body says, what is the deal here? I'm health trying to drive illness into a small corner. I ordered a banana, you send me a Coca-Cola. So the body could rightfully say what? Whose side are you on? Give us a break here. We need every tool we can get to keep illness at bay. Because if we get weak, I'm telling you, it moves in, takes the territory. So we're in the middle of this contest, and here's what it's called, opposites in conflict. Here's one of the bigger conflicts, liberty and tyranny. Liberty is the absence of tyranny. But even though tyranny is conquered, it's not very far away. The same goes on in your bloodstream. Red corpuscles to nourish like a mother and give life. White corpuscles to fight and kill like a father. White corpuscles say, just show me some infection, I'll kill it. If I don't kill it, what? It killed you. Somebody's gonna get killed in this contest, right? Good, evil, liberty, tyranny, right? Health, illness, winning and losing. There's the struggle going on. But here's the key. It's the only way, it seems, it's the only way to create a human adventure. It doesn't seem to be any other way, currently. Now, some speak of a new heaven and a new earth, and maybe the whole arrangement will be different. Could very well be, but in this current experience, it seems like to create an adventure, to create a unique human scenario, we need opposites in conflict. And that's the deal. You've always got to draw a line somewhere and tell illness, hey, you can't have any more. You've got to throw up the barriers, draw a line in the sand. Tyranny cannot be rehabilitated. Tyranny can only be restrained. We must play this game. We must fight this game. But here's what it creates, a great adventure. Let me give you the ultimate now. Could you win if you couldn't lose? And the answer is no, it doesn't seem like it. You couldn't call it winning. You can't win if you couldn't lose. So that's the deal now. Negative, positive. Would there be negative, positive without negative? No, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like this is the current setup. You know, for the foreseeable future. It looks like it's been that way as long as we can remember and as long as the history tells us. So here's what you want to do if you want the adventure. You must learn to play this game. To work with all the positive forces to defeat the negative forces as early and as soon and as much as possible. To contain the ravages of disease that want to take you early. You got to fight back. You can't just leave it. Somebody says, well, I got my fingers crossed. Not a good philosophy. Jump on the positive side of whatever you want and see if you can't help out in this warfare, in this push-shove match. That's the key. Don't neglect a new life if you've started a new life. What if you said to a brand new mother, where is your baby? She says, I have no idea. You would say, no, that isn't right. If you start a new life, you must care for it. You must protect it. You must give it life, give it nourishment. Now here's the other part. You must protect it. That's why the old wise man said, we must learn to love and hate. So underline that. You must learn to love and hate. And the illustration he used was, you must learn to love good and hate evil. To deal with the weeds in your garden, you got to hate weeds. You got to hate them enough to what? Kill them. You can't say, well, poor weeds. Say, no, this ain't the deal, poor weeds. Don't go soft on this stuff now. You got to hate evil. You got to hate the weeds that are out to destroy your garden and rob your children of the nourishment they deserve. You got to take the life of the weeds, or they will take the life of your garden. Somebody's going to get killed. Remember? So, learn the good evil. Now, here's the greatest battle in the mind. Here's what you must not become: a victim of yourself. What is that insidious voice inside your own head that says, you're too short, it'll never work for you, you're too tall, right? It's over for you. Right? It's never worked for you before. What gives you any idea that it'll work for you now? You've never been able to rise up and take charge of your life. What makes you think you can do it now? There's going to be too many obstacles out there. You'll never overcome them all. What is that insidious voice? It's the same game going on inside your head that's going on in the world. Liberty and tyranny in a push-shove match. And here's what you've got to do. Cooperate with the positive side of your life and let faith drive out doubt. Right? Let winning drive out losing. Let positive drive out negative. But you got to get into the contest. And why get into the contest? Because that's how you create an adventure. There is no other way. It takes both. You've got to learn to laugh, yes, but that's not what the wise men only said. You can't just learn to laugh and keep on laughing. No, that's silly. It says there's also a time to cry. You've got to learn to both laugh and cry. Then it said you must be so sophisticated as not to laugh when it's time to cry. That now gives you an understanding of what life is all about. Sadness and joy, the contest, the difference. And yet it creates the adventure. It takes both to create an adventure. But here's the adventure: to overcome the evil, to put evil in its place. Just like in your mind, you've got to stand guard at the door of your mind and see if you can't suppress, see if you can't do battle with the negative forces. Don't become a victim of yourself. Beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse, but also beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. And see if you can't engage in this mental contest and win the day.